Okay, asinibingelele bazalwane egameni lika Jesu Kristu seNazaretha. We bless the Lord. We appreciate your support and your response to our message that the Lord has trusted us with, the message of faith. We really bless the Lord that you receive as well with this message of faith. So today we want to also once again speak about the relationship between the promise of God and the faith. So I would like us to look in the book of 1 John chapter 5 verses number 4 and 5. Kufundeka khona kanje ngokuba konke okuzelwe nguNkulunkulu kuyanqoba izwe. Lokhu kuyinqobo enqobe izwe ukukholwa kwethu. Ngubani onqoba izwe uma kungesiye okukholwa ukuthi uJesu yindodana kaNkulunkulu na. Now bazalwane, ngifisa ukuveza ukuthi uNkulunkulu bazalwane, each time he is looking forward he's looking forward for faith from abazalwane noma from abantu. Nkulunkulu expects faith from people every time when God has given out a promise. Nkulunkulu akalenzi phutha loku expecta ukholwa kubantu singekho isethembiso asikiphileyo. Each time uNkulunkulu esuke expecte ukholo kubantu noma esizweni esithile, ingenxa ukuthi uNkulunkulu usuke ekhiphe isethembiso esithile sokuthi abantu besisamkele bese beyasikholwa leso sithembiso. Uma sebesikholiwe bese kuba khona ukugcwaliseka kwaleso sithembiso. Okuyinto ethe icisha ifane nento eyenzeka kuAbraham. The Bible says uNkulunkulu wamkhipha ebusuku Abraham wathi akabuke phezulu abale izinkanyezi nani abale all the galaxy ekhona lapha esibhakabhakeni, abona ukuthi uzokwazini ukuyibala the stars specifically bazalwane. So uma ebala wathola ukuthi ubala nayo sezuyadideka katholi ukuthi zingaki, then uNkulunkulu waseyamtshela ukuthi no, inzalo yakho Abraham iyoba ngako. So he gave him a promise. Then when he gave him a promise, then uNkulunkulu wase eyathula emva kwalokho. Then Abraham was expecting bazalwane a son from his wife, and there was no son until they passed on beyond age. They became the two impossibility bobabili, because bobabili they were beyond age. Now they are now two impossibility to conceive or to conceive or to bear a son or to bear a child. So now they were having a problem, but because God gave out a promise, you need to believe in the promise that God gave, because each time uNkulunkulu efuna ukuthi ukhole uzokunikeza isethembiso. Isethembiso sakhe sigcwalise ngokuthi wena ukholwe. So ke it works two way, because now uNkulunkulu has given out a promise, then he expects you to believe it in order for him to fulfill it, noma in order for him to make it happen. Empilweni yakho udinga ukuthi ukhole. Also nawe on your end you need to relax, noma ngabe ugcina ukusipha isikhathi noma ugcina ukusipha isimo, but because there is his promise, or you are believing from the basic, noma from the basis of his promise, you now begin to relax, noma ngabe isikhathi esiphila kuso sinjani. But because there is a promise of God that should bring ease kuwena, fanele kulethe ukukhululeka nokungathuki nokungesabi, because you know ukuthi lokho akuthembisile yena unamandla okukufeza. Isho njalo izwi lakhe ukuthi lokho akuthembisayo unamandla okukufeza. Now it works two way, ukuthi uNkulunkulu he gives out the promise. For him to fulfill the promise, he requires faith from those who receive his promise. Now ke uAbraham naye ke bazalwane kwakufanele abe umuntu okhululekile, waiting for the time of God, because uNkulunkulu lokho akuthembisile, if there is faith bazalwane, he surely will fulfill. Uma kunokukholwa lento ayithembisa bazalwane uzoyigcwalisa, uzoyiphumelelisa. Akunendaba ke bazalwane ukuthi impossibility ingakanani, because even uSarah noAbraham, they were both the impossibility ukuthi bengakwazi ukuconceive, kodwa ngoba there is a hanging promise ekhona le eyenza ukuthi amandla kaNkulunkulu angavimbeki, noma ngabe wena you are incurring the impossibility for the promises of God to happen. Ingakho ngithi ke bazalwane, this thing yokukholwa isethembiso sikaNkulunkulu bangcwele does not require your understanding, it does not require your cognitive thinking bazalwane, it does not require your level of understanding. You should like put that aside bazalwane and believe to the promise of God, because lokhu yena kuthembisile unamandla okukufeza. So ke bazalwane, we must learn and we must understand bangcwele ukuthi lento kaNkulunkulu bazalwane ifuna kube sangazathi uyasangana, but believing to his promise bazalwane, because you understand ukuthi lokho akuthembisayo unamandla okukufeza. That is one of the reason why bazalwane abantwana baka-Israel, even though uNkulunkulu wayefuna bonke ukuthi befike endaweni yaseGibhithe kodwa banga endaweni yaseKhanani, I mean kodwa bagcina bengafikanga bonke. It because bazalwana along the way uma besendleleni bagcina sebenza another form of gods, benza ithixo and so on and so forth, deviating their faith from God to whatever they were trying to base their faith at bazalwane. But uNkulunkulu then it failed him bazalwane ukuthi he can like keep them rich until they reach their destination, because when you fail to believe when there is a promise of God, you are failing yourself. When you fail to believe when God has given out a promise, you are failing yourself and you are automatically destroying yourself bazalwane. So ke ingakho ke bangcwele, I'm saying there is a strong relationship between faith and promise of God. Once there is a promise bazalwane, you should live on the promise. Fanele ukubambelela, ufunda ukubambelela bangcwele egameni lika Jesus without doubt no fear. Ungasabi, unganqikazi, ubambelele esithembisweni, usikholwe ngengqondo nangenhliziyo yakho yonke, letting your understanding to slide aside, because you now understand ukuthi bazalwane, the authority is now in God, when you are looking forward for the result to happen upon your life, because the fulfillment of the promise of God relies on your faith. Ukubone ukuphumelela kwesethembiso sikaNkulunkulu noma ngabe singakanani kulele ekukholweni kwakho. Oh hallelujah bangcwele. So we must learn bazalwane ukuthi once there is promise of God, we must use our faith to access this promise of God, no matter how big it is bazalwane, noma ngabe sikhulu kangakanani isithembiso, noma ngabe sikhulu okudlula our understanding, noma ngabe sibona the impossibility, but you must not focus on that. You should focus on the promise of God. You should focus on pushing faith. You should focus on practicing faith. You should focus on exercising faith towards the Lord, because ukuphumelela kwesethembiso relies on your faith in God, not on your understanding. Relies on your faith in God, not in how much you know, not in how much you understand, not in how much you can analyze things and reach to your conclusion that things will not happen if things happens this way. No, bazalwane, it does not require your understanding. It requires your faith in God without doubt no fear, ngaphandle kokusaba nokunqikaza. Kufuna lokho nje kuphela bazalwane egameni lika Jesus. Now uNkulunkulu also gave out a promise in John 3 verse 16 athi ngokuba uNkulunkulu uNkulunkulu walithanda izwe kangaka. This promise is a promise yomhlaba wonke, not to a singular person, not to a certain group of people, but yomhlaba wonke, ukuthi uNkulunkulu wathanda izwe kangaka waze wanikela ngendodana yakhe ezelwe yodwa kuba kube yilona loyo kholwa yiyo angabhubhi kodwa abe nokuphila okuphakade. Ngamanye amagama, God has promised everyone ophila emhlabeni ukuthi uzoba nokuphila okuphakade uma ekholwa indodana. Ngamanye amagama, your faith in Jesus is not for material things. Your faith in Jesus is not only for the things eziphathekayo, even though you do not receive anything ephathekayo. God uyazi ukuthi unekhaya elingenziwanga ngezandla, elisekhaya ezulwini. Asho njalo uMpostoli Paulo athi asingakhathazeki uma indlu yethu yasemhlabeni idilizwa kunesakhiwo esingenziwanga ngezandla. You know bazalwane ukuthi unokuphila okuphakade. Oh hallelujah bazalwane. Ingakho neBhayibheli bangcwele lithi akabonakala siyakuba yikho, because this promise bazalwane is not an event that will take place la emhlabeni. It's not a promise that will be fulfilled while sisaphila emhlabeni. Ukukholwa kuJesu awumkholelwa, akusona isethembiso esizophumelela noma sizogcwaliswa sisaphila emhlabeni. Kodwa ukukholwa uJesu, it's an event, it's a fulfillment that will take place singasekho la emhlabeni, sesidlulile emhlabeni bese siyagcwaliseka. Ingakho anyone osaphila emhlabeni noma ngabe zikunetha kangakanani mntana sekhaya, you have no reason bazalwane ukushiya, to refrain from believing Jesus. Faneke njalo ume noma izimo engakufavor zasemhlabeni, noma izinto engenzeki ngendlela ofisa ngayo, kodwa ume njalo, because you are waiting on the great promise yokuthi uzokwamukela ukuphila okuphakade. Ngoba vele ukuphila lokho siphila kona, wonke umuntu usazofa bazalwane, wonke umuntu is subjected to death, sazodlula emhlabeni. So the greatest promise esinayo yokuthi through Jesus Christ we will obtain bazalwane the eternal life bangcwele, sizokwamkelisa ukuphila okuphakade. So ingakho ke bangcwele isethembiso siku John 3 verse 16, it's greater, it's a great promise that surpasses them all bangcwele, so ukuthi sizokwamkela ukuphila okuphakade through the Son or through Jesus Christ. So ke ingakho kufanele sibambelele bangcwele, noma kunzima kanganani kodwa sibambelele kuyena uKristu. Noma sisinetha emabandleni kodwa singashiyi ukukholwa, ngoba sesibambelele into eyodwa ukuthi sinethembiso bangcwele esisazisa ukuthi sizoba nokuphila okuphakade, okuyinto engeke iziyenzeke kulomhlaba kodwa ezokwenzeka ngale bangcwele. So ke asidikibali noma ngabe uSathane usishaya kangakanani, usishaya ngiliphi side, every side eza ngakulona, kodwa will not cause us bazalwane to bow, will not cause us bangcwele ukuba sehluleke noma ukuba sishiye inkolo kaJesu, kodwa sizobambelela noma kunzima. Ingakho ohlabelela noma meva ngiwanyathela lapho ngihamba ngeyakhe indlela, kodwa athi angiwananga ngoba uJesu wami uzopholisa amanxeba, ngoba sibambelele kulento bazalwane until mangcwele the promise is fulfilled bazalwane. That is when bangcwele esikupheleyo. Ingakhathi noMpostoli Paul, I press on towards the mark bazalwane, uthi ngiyaphikelela athi angisakunaki okungasemuva kodwa ngiyodwa engiyenza ngiyazelulela kokuphambili, ngoba yilokho okubalekile bangcwele ukuthi siphikelele kokuphambili. Noma ngabe esontweni uyagxekwa, noma ngabe uyacindezelwa, noma ngabe ubukelwa phansi, noma ngabe emhlabeni ubukelwa phansi, kodwa lento kaJesu ungabusayiyeka. There is a promise, there is a greater promise you are heading on bazalwane. There is a greater promise esibheke kuyona, isethembiso sokuphila okungunaphakade. And in the Bible one day uAbraham No. Yes, uAbraham kwaba khona isicebi noLazarus. Lithi iBhayibheli uma befa bobabili uLazarus nesicebi, isicebi sahamba sayoduduzwa esifubeni sikaAbraham lapho no uLazarus wahamba oduduzwa esifubeni sikaAbraham, isicebi on the other side sona sasisemlilweni sisha kunzima abazalwane, ngoba akusizi ukuthi sijabulele ukuphila kahle emhlabeni kodwa singeze ukuphila kahle ngale, singeze ukuba nempilo ende ngale, ngoba into ebalekile bazalwane is to obtain the eternal life. Lithi ke iBhayibheli uLazarus waduduzwa. Aw haleluya bazalwane, noma ungaphila kanzima manje kodwa mawubambelele esithembisweni, oh hashamanta khathala baba hasa, uma ubambelele esithembisweni bangcwele kuzofika isikhathi la khona onke amanxeba nokulila zonke ilonda oyidalekelanga nenokwethuna bangcwele ziyopholiswa ngale, and into emnandi ziyopholiswa inguna phakade. Oh haleluya, zobe zipholiswa ududuzwa inguna phakade. Lithi iBhayibheli ngale kobe ngasekho ukulamba, obengasekho ukoma, ngoba uJesu bazalwane uyobe sepholisa eseduduza. Ingakho athi uMpostoli Paul ukulwile ukulwa okuhle, uliqedile ibanga, ugcinile ukukholwa kuze kube manje, bese ke uyaduduzwa. Aw haleluya bazalwane, haleluya banqo. Asibambelele bazalwane kuJesu, asibambelele kuKristu Jesu noma ngabe kunzima kanganani, because uyena ophethe isethembiso esikhulu kakhulu sokwamukela ukuphila okuphakade. Kodwa ke bangcwele, as I'm closing now egameni lika Jesu Kristu waseNazaretha, the Bible says la esifunde khona uthi uNkulunkulu bangcwele also bazalwane, if we keep on believing in Jesus bangcwele, uthi okuzelwe umoya kuyalinqoba izwe. Aw haleluya bazalwane, ngokukholwa okuzelwe umoya kuyalinqoba izwe bazalwane. Okuzelwe uNkulunkulu kuyalinqoba izwe ngokukholwa kwakho. Oh hallelujah bazalwane. In other words, while you are still holding on to the promise of God of an eternal life bazalwane, also there is a promise uNkulunkulu ayivezayo la again ukuthi you conquer the world. Oh hallelujah bazalwane, uyanqoba unqobe izwe ngokukholwa kwakho bazalwane, ngenxa ukuthi you are still living kuwo lo mhlaba lo. Ngamanye amagama lokhu kukholwa also ke bazalwane, it gives us the power ukuthi sikwazi ukunqoba lapha emhlabeni, sikwazi ukulwa silwe ngokwalapha emhlabeni bazalwane. Oh haleluya bazalwane, ngamanye amagama uma likhuluma ke ngezwe likhuluma ngama forces alapha emhlabeni, kukhuluma ngama forces enhlupheko, kanje kukhulunywa ngama forces emithi bazalwane, ngama forces enzondo ezinhliziyo zabantu, because those are kind of forces that are abamba abantu ukuthi bengayi phambili emhlabeni, kube sengazathi emhlabeni sizele kuzohlupheka kanje. No bazalwane, there are these forces asibambileyo. Kodwa ke now uNkulunkulu is giving us another promise ukuthi while we still believe in Jesus, we have power to conquer the world. Sizonqoba izwe bazalwane, sizonqoba noma ngabe izwe, whatever the world is plotting against us, kodwa we have given the power to conquer the world. Sinikeziwa amandla okunqoba, sinikeziwa amandla okulahlula izwe noSathane ubaba walo, sinikeziwa amandla okulahlula izwe silinqobe bazalwane namacebo alo amabi ngempilo zethu. Ngamanye amagama, that is when ke impilo engcono nempilo bazalwane eright ivela khona, because ukunqoba kwethu izwe kusho ukuthi sizophila kahle lapha emhlabeni. Aw haleluya bazalwane, we shall live well bazalwane in this foreign land. Noma ngabe it's a foreign land, kodwa you shall live well, because onamandla ungakithi, onamandla uhamba nathi. He is giving us the power, he is giving us the victory over everything bazalwane, over every evil powers, over every evil darkness weakness, the Lord is giving us the power. He's giving us victory through our faith to conquer. Sizonqoba yonke imimoya emibi ehlasela impilo zethu sizoyinqoba. Yonke imimoya emibi ehlasela ingane zethu sizoyinqoba. Yonke imimoya ehlasela impumelelo yethu sizoyinqoba. Konke bazalwane, through our faith we shall conquer and we shall win over every battle bazalwane the devil is throwing at us. We shall win over it because through our faith we are given victory. Sinikeziwe ukunqoba, akunandaba ukuthi whatever is planned against us, but we have victory through Jesus, through believing through Jesus Christ. Sinokunqoba ngokukholwa inkosi uJesu. Asibambelele bazalwane, asikholweni. Lento yokukholwa inamandla okusisebenzela, inamandla okusivulela iminyango, inamandla bazalwane to ground, to break every ground, to break every forces, to break every yokes, to break every curses upon our lives. Faith is powerful to give us victory over every curse, bazalwane, upon our life, to give us victory over every yokes. Faith has given us the victory, bazalwane, to conquer egameni lika Jesu Christus Nazareth. Ake sibambelela, ake sikholwe, ake siphusha, ake sibekezele, ake siqinisele noma ngabe kunzima kangakanani kodwa siqinisele bazalwane, because ukukholwa, uma sikholwa isethembiso uNkulunkulu asinikeze sona, uNkulunkulu amandla akhe ayavela empilweni zethu bazalwane. In the wonderful name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, we are given victory through faith. There is a relationship, strong relationship between faith and promise. And if anyone fails to believe in the promise of God, when God has given out a promise, that person fails themselves.